let's head to Berthetta.
Yeah?
Oh, one of the moons.
Should we take up our roles?
Nemo, plot a course for the moon of Berthetta, please.
Certainly. It will be quicker for us to enter the drift when we do this. So I will prepare as soon as we are clear of the station and the surrounding space traffic.
Turn to Skada and just point to, like, generally that little glowing orb of Nemo. I'm like, you're telling me something like I don't know it.
I am simply answering the question you posted.
Again, I wasn't talking to you, Nemo.
Simple observation.
Oh,
Simple is probably proving to be true.
Very well. The ship kind of, you hear a low, dull kind of like power-up sequence as it kind of already is facing an outward direction, and you see the large bay doors kind of start to retract and split open. You can already see just in the local area outside of the station itself, there's hundreds of ships. As you guys leave the Absalom station, you're taking, the immediate kind of like controls. Undocking is being done by Nemo, and with good reason. There's large ships, ships of very small size, kind of personal vessels and things like that. Absalom Station seems to always have kind of a plethora of traffic just around the station itself. Some permanently just kind of in orbit, in a sense. Others, obviously coming and going. But it's a very busy kind of near space area. Once you clear that, you hear the engines kind of roll down, and it just kind of states, drift engines active in 1 minute. And after that minute, you just see the long kind of like a drawn out kind of like hum that seems to like kind of rattle the bulkheads themselves. It's nothing like kind of fearing, but it definitely like you can feel the vibration kind of occurring within your
Come on.
feel it feel the vibration. And just kind of a long kind of almost extension of your depth of vision kind of occurs as the ship just kind of, in your perspective, draws itself, and just poof, you hear like a really loud kind of like boom as the ship just kind of poof, pierces the barrier.
All those.
It pierces the barrier into the drift. The drift, for the two of them knowing, is a dimension of space, not accessible by any means except for technological, ways. In this case, the drift engines that are installed in pretty much all ships nowadays, of any size, really.
It's essentially hyperspace.
In a sense, yeah. So to get to Berthetta, it takes approximately 3 days of travel. The way that it works is you enter the drift, and the drift being a separate plane of existence, you actually travel under conventional engines that time.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you exit the drift, you are in that location. So it's essentially a way of kind of like, you enter in one location, travel to, a certain location within the drift, and when you exit the drift, you are in the location that you're at, or where you wish to go. Being in the same system, there's no, errors that occur in that time frame. 3 days. Anything you guys want to do?
I don't know.
Because Nemo kind of states, once you've entered the drift, there's, it's pretty straightforward.
Do we have enough parts on board to make another magical attachment?
The other thing before wasn't really magical in nature.
Or just attachment?
So what sort of attachment are you talking about?
I just want to make a suppressor.
A suppressor?
Yes.
Hey, you should make me one for my sniper rifle. I'll get you the materials eventually.
I'll need to know the caliber.
Okay, but I'd hold off for mine right now. That's a cool idea, though.
That's why I picked a tactical pistol.
Yeah.
So I'm just a geek for attachments and stuff like that. That's why I bought a Mark 23, so I can get a bunch of attachments for it.
Did the weapon itself state that it was able to be upgraded?
Yes, I believe it said it had a threaded barrel, rail for the laser, and like a rail for a sight, or not a sight rail, but like a swappable sight or whatever it's called.
Okay. Let me check really quick.
El Tactiquilo.
So yours was semi-auto pistol, tactical.
Yes.
Right? Okay. I'm not seeing anything that says that it has attachments for that.
Really?
Where was it that you saw it? Because like all that says right there is just semi-auto pistol, tactical.
Look it up.
So while he's doing that, anything else that you wanted to do?
I'm gonna try the science chair out. I'm gonna sit in the science chair and
There's-
the bridge.
Yeah, you're getting acquainted with the ship, specifically the science. You see, got a full suite of scanning capability, both local space and closed system. It's not anything to like sweep the entire universe and scan a whole sector of space, but could scan a planet, things like that.
Cool.
Obviously, like being able to scan other objects in space as well, like other ships, getting data about them as well. So that's definitely an option.
I'm gonna check the gun seat too, and the munitions we have.
Okay. So the ship that you have right now seems to have a turreted, high explosive missile launcher, and also a frontward-facing laser battery.
Okay.
So it's seeming, also checking, you see that it has a decent shield system. You're able to modulate that in combat if you ever needed to. And also the armor itself is of, a decent caliber for a ship of its size.
Okay.
You note that Nemo would also be able to help with anything that you might need. He's answering kind of the questions as you post them.
Yeah.
Kind of about the ship
How
itself.
much ammo do we got?
Well, the laser battery runs off of the core power,
Great.
so that will charge itself.
Indefinite. So yeah.
Correct. And as for the ship,
The missiles.
missile launchers, it looks like there is a battery of 10 missiles on board.
Good to know. How much do those missiles go for, Nemo?
Depends on the market you look for. Absalom Station, there is quite a few. I would need to be connected to the local infogrid to be able to provide a better assessment of the price that might benefit us most.
Have you seen one of these missiles in action, Nemo?
Yes, they are quite effective in both low impact and high impact skirmishes.
So this thing could wipe out a whole ship? One missile?
Maybe not in one missile, but it would certainly do quite substantial damage.
Well, I think maybe we should go over what roles we're going to play on the ship here.
I agree. I've been looking at the science and the gun seats.
I think I would probably be best in the gunner position.
I would say I'm leaning towards science.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the basically the roles that this ship provides would be like captain, engineer, gunner, pilot, and science officer. Captain, your role in combat, like if we're talking actual combat scenarios, the captain is really kind of about dictating kind of information between the different stations. Captain's able to provide boosts to certain roles. Like you can demand things from the ship if you're like in communication with another one. or you can encourage your crew members. You know, you can kind of basically provide that sort of like directorial, like captain support, and you know gives bonuses based on what you're doing, obviously, or you know bonus to say demanding somebody else on a different ship. Let's
Do certain roles require certain like skill checks?
They do.
Diplomacy for definitely captain.
Right, exactly. So,
Not me then.
I got an 8 diplomacy. Bracho's got 82.
I didn't put any in diplomacy.
I have a -2 in diplomacy.
so the very, very good chance that Bracho would be a good candidate for the captain position, just because, yes, diplomacy, things like that,
Well-
obviously are in, import there.
Right.
Yeah, or he could be good as gunner because Bracho's got the.
Yeah, I think Bracho and I can just like switch between gunner and captain.
Bracho has the like. I don't know if he really has the gubernatorial mind of a cat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To be able to give orders and like.
That's why I say like we're the pact. We kind of just do it as a committee.
Yeah.
Right.
But the captain needs to be able to, in the moment, say like, we need more shields in the back. We need to do this. We need to like.
Right, and that's one thing that the science officer does. You can balance, you can redistribute points within the shield. So by default, in its default categorization, your ship has a bank of 40 points for the shield.
Oh, so I
And
can just
you can redistribute
reevaluate it. Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
by default, it's in 4 different quadrants.
Right,
10,
obviously,
10, 10.
and it has 10 in each quadrant. And during combat, you can, with a successful computers check, redistribute shields.
Nice.
So that's a way that you can do that. You can also scan vessels with the science officer's position, so you can like get basic information and with each successful scan, determine more information, like what their defenses are, what weapons they might be carrying.
Nice. Yeah.
You
And
can
that
also-
what check does that?
That's just the general check with the computers.
Oh,
skill.
computers. Okay.
So
That's good.
that's going to be depending on the DC. Like obviously that varies based on the vessels you're encountering.
Good. So
But-
that's good for me. I'm good with computers.
Right, and then you can also assist with the gunnery by using like a target system, like indicating like this is where they like hit their weapons, or
Yep. After the
you know,
scan, I
Toss on highlights on the
lock onto
weak
their
spot.
life support,
Yeah.
things like that.
throw it up on the dashboard.
Right, exactly. And the gunnery, of course, you're able to fire your weapons. Obviously, you're kind of limited based on not only your level but also the weaponry of the ship.
Right.
You can like fire at will, so that means you can make 2 attacks, similar to when you are in combat, like person-to-person combat. It does have that penalty to it when you say. Make 2 attacks in a round. But you can do that, or you can fire a weapon individually. And also, obviously, the facing of the weapons matters.
Yep.
So you have that forward arc with the laser cannon turret, but the actual turret itself, the missile launcher, which is located on the top of the ship itself, is a 360-degree capability.
So the turret on top is the missile launcher?
Yep.
Right.
And then we have
And then there's forward-facing cannons.
Yep.
forward-facing
cannons.
laser cannons here.
Okay.
Right, exactly. So kind of think of it as like the laser cannon is like underneath the bow
Okay.
of the ship, and then on the top spine of the ship itself is where the missile launcher is. Think of it as like it kind of collapses in and then like rotates out into like attack position
Gotcha.
when you're actually entering combat.
Okay.
I'd either be pilot or engineer, probably on the ship.
Right, and
I'd
that's-
probably be captain or gunner.
And engineering is where you can divert, auxiliary power to different systems to give them a boost to, say, crew actions that they're doing. So you could give essentially like a bonus to a gunner's chance to shoot. You're like powering up the weapons better. Or scanning, you can send it to the science equipment so the science officer can scan easier.
Do we have to be in certain specific places on the ship to perform these roles? Or can they just be done from any...
They would need to be done from the
Assume so.
bridge.
But is there a specific station where if you're doing engineering, you have to be doing it through this, like, console or something, or you know what I mean?
We'll say, you know, really the kind of, obviously the pilot one is static by itself, but the gunnery and engineering, I mean, the systems really are kind of variable in
Okay,
that regard.
okay.
You know, I'll
'Cause
say,
if-
just for, you know, not nuances of you guys running, you know, from station to station when you're switching over to stuff, but we'll just say, like, you know, it's chair, 2 chairs behind that, and then a 4th one kind of in the middle, just slightly back. So similar in a kind of a similar layout, if you remember the very first episode, because it was kind of like a 3-tiered kind of like setting, you know, except that the front only has 1 instead of 2.
Yeah.
But
Kinda
yeah,
like
you're able to
diagram.
access you're able to access, you know, like piloting, engineering from that front one. Gunnery, science are definitely accessible from the 2 in the middle, and obviously the one in the back is just more for like a, you know, high level sort of analysis of the systems. You know, it's really kind of intended, obviously, in that regard for a captain.
Okay.
You know. But
Do you guys want me to captain or gun?
Why don't you take the big seat?
You take the big seat for now.
I'll hop into the pilot position.
Good Vados.
But Vitus.
all right, so you guys travel the 3 days through the drift. Weird thing with the drift, you know, you guys have, you know, panels to see out, obviously. Occasionally, you do see kind of portions of, you know, terrain, like masses of, you know, rock and things like that. You know, Nemo kind of indicates.
I'm gonna
that-
scan that.
Yeah, certainly. Go ahead and make a, you know, computers check.
Can I divert some power to the?
Um,
Because we're in the drift,
yeah.
so maybe.
Yeah, sure. We'll just say you have a +2 to it on top of your regular computers check.
So computers.
Yep.
19.
19? 19. Nemo kind of scans it, and he, you know, with your assistance, finds that it's actually a piece from another plane of existence. Nemo indicates that, you know, this is not uncommon for chunks, you know, of random terrain or celestial, you know, debris to be found in the drift. Some of varying sizes, small, you know, asteroids. Larger chunks have been known to be found. Seems to just be an inert piece of rock. Nothing, you know, overtly amazing. You know, it's just
Okay.
very baseline, you know, minerals that compose of it. But you know, it does seem to be from. It just does seem to have traces of extraplanar.
Can I identify
Essence.
which plane it came from?
Sure.
Hey, Nemo.
That's not a good one.
What can you tell me about the gap? Have you heard of that?
9.
Why, yes, the gap is of very public record. 9. Just based on the scans, it's very hard to tell. You know, there's really no.
Didn't they say a system exploded?
No, quite the contrary. The gap is a large period of chronological time in which no records have been found, either
I
somatic,
gotcha.
verbal, written, or even celestial.
Wow.
The time is indeterminate, but ancient knowledge is available. Unfortunately, that gap seems to be quite substantial, as obviously history has only re-initiated 317 years ago.
And we just woke up from a long dormant sleep too. So we've had ourselves a little gap too.
Do you know of what length this gap occurred for you?
At least 5 years,
Um,
wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wasn't really at liberty to say right now, but 5 years.
That is troubling.
Very much so, and we're looking forward to figuring out how that came about.
Well, I will certainly assist in any faculty that I can.
Thanks for that, Nemo. Have we made it to Berthetta?
Shortly, we will be exiting drift space within the next hour. Please, if you will find your seats, we will exit and I will prepare our descent into one of the moons. And as you guys are exiting drift space, you kind of hear that low hum into the kind of stretched out kind of thum as you kind of crackle into existence back into real space. And while none of you have seen it, personally, you've obviously seen through the hologram that he provided. Berthetta is, colloquially called the Cradle, due to its numerous moons of varying kind of color, climate, atmospheres, life, things like that. Berthetta itself is a gas giant, quite large, in fact. It dominates the viewport as you all are gathered on the bridge itself. The kind of very cool colored gases that swirl around make for a very pleasing sight. There's the blues, lavenders, pinks, teals, all swirling together, mixing, and it's a very dense and kind of awe-inspiring sight. It is, the largest gas giant in the system. Obviously, the other within the system being the Avara, but Nemo indicates, kind of with a visual indicator, kind of zooming in like artificially, pulls up. You guys are heading to the water world called Kalomahoi.
Okay.
It is one of the more industrialized moons of Berthetta. And as you guys are heading to the moon, that is where we'll actually pick up next session.
Right on.
As you guys are approaching the moon.
Kalomahoi.
Yep. KALO-MAHOI.
Nailed it.
Got it.
I forgot the hyphen, but yeah.
Oh yeah, the hyphen.
But that is where we'll pick up.
Sweet.
And you guys are officially a Starship crew.
Yeah.
Yo.
It feels good.
Feels spaceman.
We've got our own ship. We're in a new system.
You're on
Adventuring.
your way.